Family members all this vacation. Today I come back with a new concept from this reproductive health. So let us enjoy even this new concept also in today's session. Right. In the previous sessions I detailedly explained about different types of contraceptive methods which we in general used to call it as birth control methods. In a today's session I do here go with a new concept which we call it as MTPs. Is a new concept. And this is an abbreviated form. The full name of this one, it includes medical termination of pregnancy. Is the full form of this one. In this new concept, we are going to see what is the technical definition of these MTPs. Medically termination of the pregnancies. Thereafter, what is the condition of these MTPs in the world as well as in India, and when the India is passed this MTP Act in our country, and thereafter what is the use, the significance of these MTPs, and how these MTPs are misusing nowadays. About all these concepts we are going to see in a detail in this session today. Coming to the definition of this one, what here the definition of these MTPs. Here, intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before the full term is technically known as medical termination of pregnancy or induced abortions. And here I'd like to write it on the board, the entire definition. Intentional or voluntary termination, it happens. Termination of pregnancy before here full term. Full term is known as MTPs, or it is otherwise known as induced abortions also. Let me give you the elaborate information regarding the technical definition. And this termination of pregnancy, it happens intentionally by the pregnant women, and or else it takes place voluntarily. So by their own will and wish, this termination of the pregnancy it takes place, and that too it takes place before the full term. Here before the full term it includes before the completion of the gestation period. Then if the pregnancies get terminated, then we call it as medical termination of pregnancies. The another name for that is induced abortions. Abortion is a very common term that we use in our regular day-to-day life in order to explain or in order to express these MTPs. Now, what is the scenario of these MTPs in the world as well as India? Let us see now here. Coming to this, nearly about 45 to 50 million number of MTPs are performing every year all over the world. This is the condition. And whereas coming to in India, these MTPs here are legalized in the year 1971. And these MTPs, if you calculate, here these are all almost all 1/5 of total number of conceived pregnancies. For a year. The total number of conceived pregnancies in a year, here 1/5 number of pregnancies are intentionally terminated, and if you count the same in the percentage, almost all it is 20% of MTPs are taking place, occurring throughout the world. And it is actually an alarming here sign that how these MTPs are going on in our world, it indicates. Whereas in India, as I said earlier, it is made legalized in the year 1971. But coming to the many countries in the world are not accepted this one or legalized this. And still the debates are going on in order to accept or legalize the MTPs in their respective countries. And the basic reason for not accepting or legalizing these MTPs in those countries, here it includes the reason for not accepting many countries in the world these MTPs. It includes some social, emotional, ethical and religious aspects. So based on the four important aspects, many countries throughout the world are not accepted, but still the debate is going on whether to accept these MTPs or legalize these MTPs in their respective countries. Coming to India, again this MTP is amendment. The act is amendment here in the year 2017, and this is known as medically termination of pregnancy amendment act. And a bit here changes made in that amendment is made in this act, and it coming to force in the year 2017. The basic intention in bringing this amendment in the act, it includes three important facts. One here it includes in order to reduce the illegal abortions. Illegal abortions must be get reduced is one of the basic here fact in bringing the amendment in the act. Whereas the second one here it includes decreasing the maternal mortality rate. Here decreasing maternal mortality rate is one more here basic fact behind that. Whereas coming to the third one here, in order to decrease morbidity in a mother. So keeping these 3 points in the view, the Indian government in 2017 bring the amendment in the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 2017, and here many of the MTPs are going on illegally in order to prevent and reduce these kind of abortions. This act is taken into the consideration. Thereafter, maternal mortality rate. Whenever these abortions are made, generally it greatly affects the health of a mother. So that it sometimes greatly affects the health as well as it leads to death of the mother too. So because of that reason, mother death rate is increasing. Technically we call it as maternal mortality rate. Meanwhile, morbidity, it includes the health of the mother or the pregnant women is greatly get affected because of these abortions. So in order to avoid these three types of things, in 2017 the government of India made an amendment in this act. And what is need to here bring such a kind of acts? Here let us see that point. Why the MTPs are entertained? What is the basic reason behind that? And here the two important here basic reasons are there behind entertaining these MTPs in our country. The first one, in order to avoid unwanted pregnancies, is one basic reason. And how does these unwanted pregnancies it happens? So it happens because of the three various reasons. And here, first and foremost reason for this pregnancy is a casual unprotected sex. Casual unprotected sex or coitus, it leads to a pregnancy is one basic reason. Whereas the second one is failure of contraceptive. failures of contraceptive methods is one thing. Whereas the third reason behind that is here very rarely here rapes that are all carried out. Let me give you some more detailed information regarding this one. And here, whenever the casual unprotected sex or coitus is taken place, here the unprotected coitus it includes without using any barriers. If the couple take part in a sexual intercourse, it leads to here pregnancies. And earlier session I explained here different types of barriers like usage of condoms and usage of here the diaphragms and all. Without using them, if a couple take part in a coitus, generally insemination it takes place. Finally, it leads to here conceiving or getting pregnancies. That is one thing. Thereafter, though we use different types of contraceptive methods, they are all 100% not safe. There is a chances of failure rate of all these contraceptives. In the previous session, I explained some temporary as well as the permanent contraceptive methods. And temporary methods it includes like natural method, barrier method, and chemical method, intrauterine devices, whereas the oral contraceptive pills and surgical implants and hormonal injections and morning after pill. Almost all 8 varieties of contraceptive methods are all available to us. Nowadays, people are using these contraceptive methods in order to postpone the pregnancy or give the gap in between the two successful babies. While these contraceptive methods get failed, then the mother or women get a chance of getting pregnancies. That is one thing. And it is an alarming sign to us. Nowadays, the incidence of rapes in India is increasing. Whenever a woman underwent a rape, then generally chances of getting the pregnancies. So that here, when such a kind of unwanted pregnancies are taken place, so we can go for medical termination of the pregnancies. Whereas the second one here it is, if continuation of the pregnancy is harmful to a mother, in such a cases also, definitely you can go with this medical termination of pregnancies or in general abortions. And here it is a harmful effects on some cases the mother or else fetus. In some of the cases, both of them will be get affected. So continuation of the pregnancy, it leads to a harm to the mother in some cases or the growing fetus in the mother's womb in some cases, and some of the cases both will be get greatly affected, and sometimes it leads to the fetal also. In such a cases, we need to go with these here MTPs. That is the reason why it is made legal in India. And that too, it is not so easy to go for the abortions. And before a woman want to go for an abortion, she need to take the opinion of a registered medical practitioner. On his opinion and under his guidance only, the abortions must be performed in India. Right. What is the significance of these MTPs? That means the importance of these MTPs. These MTPs are useful to us in two different ways. One important thing here is the MTPs generally it reduce population is one important significance of this one. As I said earlier, throughout the world, every year 45 to 50 million number of here MTPs are taking place. What does that indicate? Here 45 to 50 million number of people are not adding to the existing population in this world, so that it helps for reducing the population or controlling the population. Here point to be noted, it is not a contraceptive method. And this you need to here note that it is not contraceptive. And the second importance of this one, it protects the pregnant women whenever the pregnancy is harmful to her. And that is one more thing. Here it protects the pregnant. It protects the pregnant women whenever the continuation of the pregnancy is harmful to her. So in these two cases, they are all useful to us. And thereafter, here as I said, when this period or when this is safe, performing these MTPs Here, at which time of the pregnancy is safe to the women? Here is a point, very important point. Here it is. Even this will be asked in the medical entrance examination also. Here, on or before the 12 weeks of the first 12 weeks of the pregnancy or the first trimester is the safe period for performing these MTPs. Here, the first trimester, we call it as here first 12 weeks of the pregnancy, or else the first 3 months period of the pregnancy here is the safe period for the termination. And that too, as I said, it has got some here conditions. Under certain conditions only they should go for this here termination of the pregnancies. And the thing is, beyond the first trimester, that means in the second trimester or beyond the 24 weeks of the pregnancy, if you go for this termination, it may lead to here health disorders, and even it is a fatal to a mother also. And here, in which condition you can perform? Here in the second trimester, that means almost all 24 weeks later or 6 months is not suggestible at all. Going for termination or abortions in the second trimester or after 24 weeks or 6 months later is dangerous to a woman. And if you want to go beyond that also, here you need to take the opinion of 2 here medical practitioner. Medical practitioner opinion is required, and under their guidance and under their supervision only this termination of the pregnancy must be carried out. And when do we go, or in which situations or conditions do we go for termination of the pregnancy in the second trimester? There are 2 important conditions are there. In which conditions the termination is required in a second trimester or after 24 weeks? There are here certain conditions are there. One is continuation of the pregnancy if it damages the physical and mental health of a pregnant woman is one thing. Physical and mental health. And physical and mental health of a woman, if it is greatly damages, then all the opinion of the 2 medical practitioners, you can go with this termination. And the second thing is, sometimes continuation of the pregnancy may leads to here causes malfunctioning or disorders here in child, and these are related to here mental, genetical disorders. Mental and genetical disorders may occur in a newly born baby. Chances are there. And in such a cases, here there is a chance of taking birth of handicapped baby. A handicapped child may be take birth. So in order to avoid such a kind of child to take birth and making him to suffer throughout his life, generally you do go for this medically termination of pregnancies. Thereafter here, what are the drawbacks related to this one? How these are misusing nowadays, let us see now here in a detailed way. Drawbacks that are all associated with these medically transmitted pregnancies, let us see now here. First thing, in India, most of the abortions are taking place and indiscriminately and illegally it is taking place. And one more important thing, the medical termination of pregnancies are performing by unqualified works in India, and it leads to the great damage to the health of a mother, as well as it leads to sometimes the death of a woman too. This is the second important drawback in our India. Whereas the third type of drawback is, there we have a amniocentesis, a kind of fetal sex determination test, and this amniocentesis is misusing in our India, so that it is identifying the here unborn baby sex is determining. Soon after here they find the sex of the baby and they are going for female feticides, which is here against the legal act in our India. So I tell you those things in a detailed way. And coming to here, the first one is indiscriminate and illegal feticides are taking place in our India. This type of incidents are taking place more in our India. So that this is one of the drawbacks in our country. Thereafter, in our society, we have a great sex determination. So generally, the baby boy is given more priority than a baby girl. So that whenever the pregnant woman is found that she has got a baby girl in her womb, so that the family members and they themselves are going for female feticides. This is one more important thing. Further, they are making use of amniocentesis. About this we already studied in the beginning of this chapter. This is a fetal sex determination test. A sex determination test it is. So this, by making use of that, identifying the sex of the unborn baby, and soon after that they are going for feticides. That is the reason why even in India the sex ratio differs a lot. For every 1,000 male in our country, we have got only 940 female in our country. So there is a great discrimination is there in our nation. That is the reason why the sex ratio also differs in the nation. So this is one more drawback nowadays. And one thing, these are all here the drawbacks, and that too, these MTPs are performed by unqualified quants. Or performing that in most of the rural areas, in the tribal areas, such a kind of here highly technical process is carried out by a unqualified quants. In these are all the ways how these MTPs are misusing in nowadays. And such a kind of performances naturally leads to here the dangerous conditions in a mother, or her health will be get greatly disturbed, and so that it leads to sometimes the death of the women also. This is one thing. Thereafter here, what are all here the efforts are making by the Indian government? Let us see. Since we just come to know that these MTPs are misusing, a kind of bad trend is going on in our India. In order to check such a kind of bad trend, the government of India has taken some initiation, and it started implementing different kind of programs. The first and foremost important thing, in order to avoid such a kind of a bad trend, a effective counseling is required to a people, so that here they can avoid unprotected sexual pointers, so that getting chances of unwanted pregnancies will be reduced, so that there is no need of going for these MTPs. Whereas the second one is here, they should avoid the illegal abortions. In order to avoid these illegal abortions, a strong and effective counseling is needed to all the people, is one thing. Thereafter, and these two types of things are not good for the reproductive healthy society. That is the reason why here they do have started one program, and name of the program is Reproductive Health Care Program. Under this Reproductive Health Care Program, they are giving certain kind of guidelines and counseling to the people and avoiding these MTPs maximum extent. Whereas here the Indian government also started increasing the medical health care, and by providing these medical health care facilities, we can avoid maximum here number of MTPs. This is the concept related to these MTPs. As of now, we studied technically the definition of the MTP. Thereafter here, how this MTP is carrying out throughout the world, all over the world. Then what is the condition in India? when the MTPs are legalized in India, and when again these their adaptations made, amendment is made in these MTPs in India, thereafter what is the significance of MTP, and here what is the safe period for carrying out these MTPs, at which particular time we need to go for this one, and thereafter what are the drawbacks of these MTPs, what kind of here the precautionary steps are taken by the Indian government in order to avoid the maximum number of MTPs. And now I will switch over to another concept, that is STDs or STIs.